a misunderstanding. There's this girl. She's pretty, funny, short, and we fell in love, or at least I thought so. And we were messaging day in, day out on a daily basis. We were getting closer, closer, and then eventually we started calling, and it was great. Then eventually we started to get a little bit closer with questions like family stuff, like drama, and all of that. And then phone calls started happening. So we started FaceTiming every single day before like going to bed or whatever. And and eventually I fell asleep one time and I wake up and I look at my phone cuz I'm excited to see if she texted me something, and she texts me the words I love you. I don't know how happy I was when I heard that. I just know it was a lot cuz there's there's not just one person in this world that loves you. But at that moment, it felt like no one else did. And it still kind of does. Even though people say, "Oh, I love you. You're my son." Like my mom says like, "I love you." It it doesn't feel real. And I don't know why that is. I know it's real, but it doesn't feel real, if that makes sense. And that when she said she loved me, I felt so like happy. I was smiling, making jokes, just being nice to people. I overall changed as a person from one sentence. And it was great. The next day, we called like usual, but she ended up falling asleep first. So I thought to myself that maybe it was my turn. And I said, I love you. And when I woke up, I saw that she had texted me back in the morning. And she said, like, that was sweet and that she loves me too. And, like, good morning. And I felt like I was in a relationship for the first time. And I was, like, the happiest man in the world for a good solid 2 weeks. But then that dragged on for a couple of days. And then she tells me that she thinks that we're moving too quickly. So I cried for a little bit, and then my best friend calmed me down and said that that doesn't mean it's over, right? So I calmed down, realized it wasn't over, and we just continued talking, but as a slow talking stage. It moved on still, kind of, but slowly, and then things ramped up a little bit. Not back to I love you yet, but things ramped up. So we're back to like talking, kinda, and or not like talking more, and then like I ask if she wants to like if she's like doing anything over the weekend. She says no, she's not really doing anything over the weekend. I was like, oh, that's nice. Do you want to like come over to my house or something? And she's like, yeah, sure. And she comes over and we watch a movie. We're watching Final Destination, the most recent one, the one that like came out last year. And she said that she doesn't like horror movies. I mean, to be fair, I don't really, but that's because they're boring, not because they're scary. And and she says that she doesn't like them because they're scary. And I was like, yeah, I get that. I kind of understand why somebody would be scared of that. And like we're sitting next to each other on the bed, and she's like, I could tell that she's like slowly inching her way closer to me. And and then eventually she kind of like almost rests her head on my shoulder. And I don't know how I felt in the moment, but from what I can remember, it felt like I was like almost like shocked. Like, is this even really happening? I didn't really believe that I could feel love. And and then eventually I asked her if I can hold her hand, and she said yeah. So we held hands for a little bit while watching the movie. And then I asked her if she wanted to like hug or cuddle, I guess. And she said sure. So we did, and that was, I think, the most amount of love I got, and that felt real. It felt great. And then and then the movie ends. It was kind of around the end of the movie time when I asked if she can hold her hand or if I can hold her hand, and then she says that she has to go home because her like mom said that she can only be out for a couple of hours. I was like, okay. So she went home. We continued texting, and while we were hanging out, she like took a picture of us for like a soft launch on her Instagram story. And a lot of people saw the soft launch and started messaging her like, "Ooh, who's that? Who's this? Who's that? Is it this guy? Is it that guy?" And she ended up taking down the story because people just kept like harassing her about it, which is completely understandable. I didn't really think much of it. I understood it as like people were harassing her. And then Monday came around. So I'm at school. I could tell she's being really dry. I was like, "What's wrong?" And then she's like, nothing. I just have like a test or something in a class." And I didn't, I believed her, and I was like, "Okay, well, I hope you do good on that test." And then she's like, "Yeah, I hope I do too." And then, um, and then we start messaging, and we figured out that one of my friends that tends to kind of spew people's business around figured out, and she got nervous. I got nervous, to be honest. It felt like my stomach dropped through through the floor. And I kind of messaged him. I was like, please don't message anybody about this. Please don't screw this up because this is the closest I've gotten. And he was actually like, he didn't like really know. He suspected it was me, but he didn't know. And so he was like, I'm not gonna do anything this time. I'm not gonna spread it around because I want you to get this girl. I was like, okay, thank you. And and then I messaged her about it, telling her that like there's nothing to worry about. I told him to not tell anyone, and she was like, okay, that's great. But she was still being dry. And then like throughout the whole day, I was just like asking her questions, and she would respond with like, yeah, okay, good, like the typical dry. And then I got home. I got on my PlayStation, just played some video games like normal. And then after a while, it's around like 9 or 10ish, and I ask if she wants to call, and she's like, sure. So we're calling, and then we're just like talking like normally. And then I ask her like why she's being like dry, and if like everything's okay. And she tells me that like like she is kind of okay, but not really. And I was like, why? What's wrong? And then she says that like I'm not ready for a relationship and that she isn't in the right mental state right now and she doesn't think that she would be a good girlfriend. And my heart stopped. I felt so betrayed. I put in so much work. She put in some work. I'm not going to say that she didn't put anything in, but I felt so like betrayed. I I was at a loss of words and I was like at the moment I was just in shock. I didn't have like any feelings about it. And like she was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And this was happening around 12, so we were on the phone for like 2 hours. And she like says that and I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, no, I understand. I understand like that you're feeling like this. Yeah, it's fine." And like I felt like crying, but my body just wouldn't allow me to. And I don't know. I just locked up, I guess, kind of. I didn't have like anything to say, and then it gets to a point where I actually felt like the pain inside of my like body, and I like started like sobbing a little bit, I would say. And she was like, "Are you okay? Are you sure you're okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm okay. Everything's fine. I understand like that you don't want to be in a relationship, and I'll respect your like decision." And then I'm like still in shock, and then I say to her that like, will this ever happen like again? And she says she doesn't know. So she says she's gonna go to sleep, and we hang up the phone. Those 30 seconds of shifting my life were the worst 30 seconds of my life. Because then thought by thought flew into my head like an arrow. And then I like started actually like understanding what is happening. And I started bawling my eyes out. And then I called my best friend and I told him like what happened. And honestly, he was devastated because he thought that this was going to work out too. And oh my God, that Tuesday at school was terrible. All my classes, I'm sniffling, my eyes are red, I'm going like like that. Nobody's noticing that I'm crying though, which was good because it would have been embarrassing. And then I get home, I just start crying even more, much worse than it already was. And I got a bloody nose on the bus on the way back home from crying. And then I get home, start crying, and then my nose starts bleeding even more after it already stopped. So that's kind of it. And this is kind of something I'm trying out that I kind of want to do is where I just make these little videos for people that are kind of going through difficult times regarding this topic that have a similar story like me. And if anyone does watch this, you just gotta live it, man. I know it's gonna suck, but you just gotta live it, man. Don't, I know a lot of people say just don't think about it, and I've heard that a lot, and it doesn't work. But what I would recommend is talk to your friends, get their opinion. Well, not all of your friends, your closest friend. Talk to them, get their opinion, and then try to get help from the people that you love the most. If you don't want to talk to your parent, you don't have to. I didn't at first because I was like kind of like in a shocked mood still. And get the help that you need. Don't let it eat you out. Wait, that sounds bad. Don't let it like eat you up. That's what I meant. Because that's what I did. I let it eat me up, and I think that's probably the worst decision I've made. My friend did get his driver's license, so I'm planning to start going to the gym, and I think that would be really beneficial for me, which is good. But yeah, that's my story.